Hey, Jason, Truth Teller. Good to speak with you, man.
Good to hear from you.
Jason, it's all damning. Everything from the forensic evidence to the circumstantial evidence to the lies of the cover-up that are so blatant. Mm-hmm. It's just really self-explanatory. I mean, there's not a weak point in the position of truth on this. But, I've always seen it as being the most obvious and cut-to-the-quick exposure of the whole lie of it, and more importantly, the whole basis of it to trace back from as far as the government involvement in this country at the highest levels. Certainly not the whole government, just a small sliver of it.
Sure.
Is the involvement of Osama bin Laden as a CIA operative for many years before this actually occurred.
Which is totally denied by the right. I mean, you watch Hannity. Hannity shows the clip of the current president of Pakistan talking about how his wife contacted the United States and said, hey, are you trying to destabilize our country? And they said, no, no, no. And then he realized right there that bin Laden was their asset back then, after the Soviet invasion. And now we have Sibel Edmonds going on the record, giving out her deposition saying that the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and bin Laden worked for the United States up until the day of 9/11. Yet people like Hannity will just say, no, that's just not true. We never even supported them during the Soviets. That's a made-up liberal lie.
So, Jason, how do you see it as far as how do they succeed? Is it by one means or is it by two means? And I'll define those in just a moment. Mm-hmm. But how are they actually, how does this actually happen? Do you think this happens on a supernatural level, that they can actually do something like this in public, and then all the evidence that exposes the nefarious deeds?
They have such a tight control grip over the mainstream media and what we absorb every day through pop culture, through radio, through movies, through television, that they are just so arrogant that they can get this done. And I think that their two main modes are consent and conquest. And they don't always want to go in there from conquest. They don't always want to shoot everything up. First, they've got to get the consent of the American people. So how did they get their consent for these wars in Afghanistan and Iraq? How did they get their consent for the Patriot Act, for Homeland Security? It was through 9/11. And what was 9/11? Well, it was a conquest. They had to kill some people, And I think that we're just at such a dumbed down level, and especially even back in 2001, I was a victim of this. I didn't care about politics whatsoever. I didn't care about geopolitics. I didn't care about our foreign policy. I thought the United States was right on everything. I was cursing out the communists as though they were the great evil in the world. If you were a terrorist in another country, F you, Saddam. I mean, that was the feeling. And I think that's the feeling of a lot of people out there, and they don't understand that they're being bamboozled because, hey, man, I almost signed up for the military after this. I'd already taken my ASVABs. I almost went into the National Guard previously. After this, I was kind of like in a place where I was like, man, what are we going to do? Maybe I can do some good in the world. And I thought some good in the world meant going over into a desert nation and shooting brown people. And that was my warped sense. So I know that there are a lot of people out there that are under the same mind control I used to be, and that's unfortunate. Got to let you go, Mark. Great caller. Let's jump to Jasper in Massachusetts. Jasper, you are on the line, sir.
Hey, Jason. How are you?
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you whether you have seen this YouTube 9-part series, 9/11 Fake Media Mind Control. It basically breaks down all the camera work and the fancy editing and stuff that basically was a big farce, and it basically shows that it could have been planes, it could have been missiles.
All right, let's stop right now. Hold on. I've watched, 9/11 Octopus. I've watched the other one before that. I can't even remember what it's called. But no. Listen, you want to know how they really manipulated people with the video? It wasn't with the video of the planes. It was showing America under attack, and the graphic would be the flag burning and a huge fire and America at war and the war on terror is here. Had nothing to do with planes not being there. I've watched all that crap. That nose out video is crap, dude. Look, watch every other video Okay, the Fox video of the nose out is from one angle. It's dark. Everything's in shadows. You watch the video from the front, and the same exact thing happens. So is that the nose of the plane? I don't know if that's the nose of the plane. I don't know if that's a projectile that was attached to the plane. I mean, the flash is obviously there on 5 separate videos. There seems to be something on the undercarriage of the second plane that hit. Believe me, there were planes, Jasper. I promise you. Next caller. I can't even deal with it. I mean, people, don't you understand that they roll out the propaganda in the very beginning to try to get people to think that no planes hit the towers? They show you a guy in a party hat and another guy dressed up with a Puff the Magic Dragon costume wrapped around him. Those are the people you're listening to when you buy into that bull, man. All right, Eric in Pennsylvania. Eric, you're on the line.
Hey, Jason.
Hey.
Okay. All right. So I was looking at the cover of Endgame about a week ago, and I was like, by the way, it's an awesome cover with the UN building and the skull in it.
Yes.
And then I was thinking about how they were attacked in Kenya and that they blamed it on Osama bin Laden.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking about, well, Obama's from Kenya, and I'm thinking, what is the role that the UN could have had in this?
In the Kenya bombing? Well, I don't know if it would have been the UN, but I definitely.
I mean, in 9/11, in September 11th.
Oh, well, I mean, all right, for instance, the United Nations, they give a format for President Bush right after the fact to get up in front of an international audience and tell people, do not condone these conspiracy theories about 9/11. Now is the time to join us. If you're not with us, you're against us. So they provide a forum for the Anglo-American establishment to say, hey, no matter what you think, you better get on board or you might be the next country. Eric, hold over. We'll come back to you. We'll go to Chris. We'll go to Seal. And
hello, friends. This is Alex.